coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Take your check. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
Man, every day that freaking intro gets me pumped to talk about a slate. It's happy Thursday, everybody. It's almost the weekend. Every day's the weekend for me, though, because I'm not working. So, but welcome to the show, everybody, and everyone who's watching this later. Thanks for watching it. Again, today I have low-owned wide receiver, or Cam. He's out with me today to talk about the slate. Cam, how you doing today?
It's a good day. I'm tilting Call of Duty right now. I don't know if anyone in the viewership's also playing the Call of Duty, but I'll apologize for today, man. It's not going my way. Hockey is, though. That's good. We're not going 0 for 2, so that's good.
Yeah, and we got a pretty good slate tonight. So since it is a big 10-game slate, we are going to kind of jump into it rather quickly. I got some of your feedback in Slack yesterday, so I'm definitely taking that into consideration. And we're going to change up a little bit kind of how we break down each game to give you guys a little bit more plays, more stacks, yes and no on the goalies. And then somebody actually asked me earlier today if we could go over tiers really quick. So we'll do that over at the end. Make sure you guys continue to put your comments in there so we can answer up any questions. We'll do it throughout the live stream here, and then anything we missed. If you need to put it in 2 or 3 times, go ahead. We'll answer them at the end. And if you're not a VIP member, go ahead, go over to dfsarmy.com. Use the promo code Mdell, saves you 10%. No matter what, like keep that membership active, and you get that 10% as long as you're an active member. Get into Slack chat, ask a bunch of questions, learn all these different sports. Like Cam goes over, I think he does like all of our esports, right? Right, Cam?
I do Rocket League, which really does not exist anymore in Call of Duty. I'm not the League of Legends and CSGO guy. But if it's a weird sport, it's a safe assumption that I'm the one that does it.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of content out there. There's definitely not a lot of content out there for those niche little sports. So
that's definitely a benefit of the Army, I will say, compared to other sites. Like some sites, they just decide it's not big enough to cover, and they don't do it. If there's Rocket League's the only one that's really too small, but basically everything else, we got you. And you don't get that out of all the sites by any means.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure you guys join in. Use that promo code. Save yourself some money every month. We have weekly, we have monthly, we have yearly subscriptions. So check out our website, dfsarmy.com/pricing, and you can see all the different packages that we have and sign up for anyone that you want to sign up for and join in Slack chat and learn a new sport. So we'll get right into the games today because we do have a bigger slate. We'll go over just the injuries to start. Sidney Crosby, he's still out in the protocol.
No, he's back. They activated him tonight.
They did today?
It did like a minute ago, like right when you started your intro. I got the notification.
Oh wow. Okay, so he's in. Just make sure you double check before the game starts to make sure he actually does play.
Yeah, he is activated. Let me go find that tweet to confirm. Yeah, he's activated from the COVID-19 reserves. He's upgraded the probable. I just got that one. So I think it's a safe assumption he plays at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably just contact tracing where they had to make sure. Teuvo Teravainen of Carolina, he's a game-time decision. He's expected to play.
I believe he took line rushes today, and when you take line rushes, you're normally active.
Yep. Dylan Larkin, he's out. Josh Anderson, he's out. Nico Hischier, he's out. Ryan Ellis, he's going to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks, so that's a big bump for some of the Nashville guys. Ryan Johansson, he's out. not really fantasy impact, but more minutes for some other guys. And Anthony Duclair, he's still out as well. And that's all the injuries that I saw. Did you see anything else that might have just popped up besides those guys?
No, that sounds about what I've seen from as well.
All right, awesome. So, like I said, nice 10-game slate tonight. Tons of options, really. A couple games to kind of just write off or go goalie and move on. How do you feel about the slate going forward?
I like it a lot more than yesterday. I mean, like, I'm all for jamming the studs and everything. I feel like it's a correct move, but the slates where you don't get the freedom to do that, and you actually have to make real decisions. I think it comes a lot more into play because it's the right thing to do. But when you got a 3v3 with McKinnon, McDavid, and Matthews already cut off, and you got to beat the dude in the 6 other positions, it's a lot harder to do that than rather beating them at all 9.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't play McDavid last night, you probably won a lot of money because he didn't do anything. And I ended up with only one cash lineup, actually. I put McDavid in there with the 3 of them. The other ones I didn't. But Kadri at the end there, he kind of helped me win some money back. It wasn't a total loss.
No Peterson. Maybe I did not want to play Jonathan Quick, so I went up to Fleury like we talked about, and that definitely bailed me out last night.
Yeah, that definitely helps. So we'll start off with probably one of the most boring games on the slate. Buffalo and the Islanders. Both teams projected under 3 goals. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go see if we like the goalies, and then we'll get into the skaters after that. So what do you think about the goalies in this game tonight?
Well, obviously not whoever Buffalo's playing. For one reason, they're probably going to lose, and another reason being New York's not a real shot attempt taking team. They like getting their chances at high danger, so the volume's just not going to be there for Buffalo's goalie. So that's just there's no floor and upside there. Varlamov, Barry Trotz is being a cue ball to us. He said a goalie from Russia is going to start tonight, and if you didn't know, both of their goalies are from Russia, so that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But if it's Varlamov, I like him. I like him more than Sorokin for sure. But I would not mind Sorokin if he was there, but there's options other than him that we'll get into later that I would prefer to that. But Varlamov is in lock and load territory to me if he's starting tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for this game, I really do hope it's Varlamov because I'm not going to probably won't play Sorokin in cash if he does start because there's other options that, like you said, we'll get into. But if it is Varlamov, he's probably going to be my cash goalie because you can kind of spend up a little bit with some of the value we have. There's not a ton of studs to pay up for. Anything on the skaters in this game, really?
From Buffalo, Taylor Hall's kind of cheap, but they're just so bad. Like, this is like a stock that's just plummeting, and I don't want to buy a stock that's plummeting. I mean, this seems like the floor, but I mean, this could get worse. Someone could get traded, fired. But I might just be a donkey, but I did not think Buffalo was going to be this bad this year. So for them, it's a no-go for me, even though I do find some value to them on DraftKings. And the Islanders, they're just not really a cash team, but their top 6 is definitely in play tonight for me. And GPPs, as like I said, Buffalo's just not good, and they could lay it on them with some high danger chances.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength with you. Like, I haven't played with Buffalo like all season, and I'm not going to start now, and I probably won't for the rest of the year. But the Islanders side, like, Johansson's likely starting for Buffalo. So rookies played 1 game so far this year. The other one, I think he came in late once they pulled Hutton or something. But I do like the Islanders' top line in tournaments. And then I like my boy Pajot on the 3rd line. He's paid off for me. And the other night, I had him in my cash lineup, and then I changed things around, and he ended up scoring a goal. So don't change things around. If you feel good, confident with it, just keep it.
Bevillier's on the top power play as well as the top 6 tonight, so you could get him in a stack with someone on the first line, so you could get a power play stack and have like 2 line exposure. So if I'm looking at the Islanders tonight, I definitely think Beauvillier helps open up your options to that a little bit more, and just like that way, if line 2 ends up being the one going off, and maybe Barzell and Eberle only have an assist, you still have Beauvillier as well it gets you wider exposure to minutes.
And he's cheap. I mean, I wouldn't play the Islanders in like single entry or like 3 entry max, but if you're doing like 100 lineups, you could throw like 10% on them. They're going to be low owned, so if they do score 3 or 4 goals, then that could be solid for your lineup if you stack right.
Yeah, at least on DK, they don't really break the bank either. I'm not sure on the FanDuel side of their salary, but I'd assume it's not that high.
It's not too bad. I think Lee is the most expensive one. I didn't really look that much into him because I don't really like him that much, especially for cash purposes. But honestly, I don't have anything else to go on with this game, so we can
that's crank up. That's what you guys wanted. That's what you're gonna get.
All right, so the next game is the Rangers and the Devils. Implied 2.8 for the Rangers, 2.7 for the Devils. This one is a little bit of the same as the first one for me. I think the Devils we're still waiting on who's going to start, but I'm assuming it's going to be Blackwood. And then we got Shesterkin for the Rangers. I like Mackenzie Blackwood. We talked about this the other night. It's just he's cheap, but I think there's other places we can go. I do have him on my cheat sheet as a cash goalie because he's your. Actually, I don't. I do like him in tournaments. I do have him in cash. 6,700. He's not going to kill you, but he's kind of been on the downward slide lately. So, what do you think about the goaltenders in this one?
It's kind of the situation with more of sort of Sorokin than Varlamov, where it's just like I like both of these goalies. I think both of them are nice and cheap. They have decent upside on both sides. It's just the fact that I feel like there's just better options in the price range, at least on DraftKings, because Blackwood, I believe they're both 78 on DraftKings, right? Shesterkin is 77, and Blackwood is 78. So like the value there is not really amazing. And for $200 more, you could play Khudobin, who's really good against Dallas. We'll get into that later. I won't try to touch that. They're all right. If salary constraints came to it, I would take Shesterkin in cash, probably over Blackwood, just because New Jersey's banged up tonight. But it's more of a if I have to type of thing. There's 3 goalies over 8,000 that I'd much rather play than them. But if salary constraints came to it, I could live with throwing Shesterkin in my cash line.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I like Shesterkin too for cash. I like them both. Like if you want to save. But there's 2 other goalies like on FanDuel for me that I'd prefer to play in cash games. And the offenses in this game. So is there anything you're looking to stack in this game?
In cash, no. I don't really like the New Jersey side. I think without Heischer up the middle, that really lowers their team. And like I like Shesterkin as a goalie too, and New Jersey's just not there yet as a team. The first line, honestly, the whole top 6, New York's pretty cheap, and they obviously have upside tonight going against New Jersey. There's not that good, but if it's Blackwood, that's a big downgrade to me, as there's 9 other games on this slate that don't have a top 5 goaltender in it.
Mm-hmm.
But Zibanejad, he's due. He's just like, don't write this guy off. I mean, his shooting percentage is laughable. I mean, he seriously might have like a 5-goal regression game at some point because like it's crazy how like suppressed he is right now. It makes no sense for him to be shooting this low. And Lafreniere is on that line. I don't mind that for GPPs, as that's really going to help you pay up for something, as he's, I want to say like 3,000. And then Adam Fox for FanDuel for your side. I do like him. He's too priced up on DK for me, but I love him on FanDuel tonight.
Yeah, his price hasn't really moved on FanDuel since the beginning. I think he started at 4,300 to start the season, and he's up to 47. And the last time he played against the Devils, he scored like 30 FanDuel points, I think. And he's just a peripheral guy. Like if they're playing a game that they have the puck on their side, like on the offensive side, and they're scoring, he's going to probably be involved. He'll get an assist or 2, and he could snipe a goal from the blue line too. So he's like if you're playing cash, like Fox is probably going to be in my cash lineup just because, one, he's going to be very chalky. And if you're playing head-to-heads, like most of the people against you will probably have him, and if they don't, like, shame on them because he's too cheap. I'd say he's probably got a floor of like 8 points. Like 5 shots and blocks is basically his floor.
I like Dougie more at his price, like 6,600. I feel like that is fair, but like in cash, I don't want someone at a fair price. I want all my guys to have some sort of value to me to them. And him at 66 is like you're paying for what you get. But on FanDuel at 40, what'd you say, 45?
47.
47. Yeah, you're getting a discount on that. That upside.
And that's the thing. That's the thing to look at too. Like you see, they're way priced up on DraftKings, but they're way cheap on FanDuel. Grab that value on FanDuel because DraftKings is a lot better with their pricing. They adjust it a lot more for performance. Like FanDuel, I don't know who they have making their pricing, but like backup goalies shouldn't be the same price as the starting goalies. Like I think they just got really lazy this year. And
they're lazy all the time. They're the worst. FanDuel, they're pathetic. They're like, well, you guys are just gonna keep giving us money no matter how bad of a product we put out, and we all do it. And so why do they want to get better? They're like, DraftKings could be the number one. We still make a ton of money being the number two.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, anything else on this game? So we could probably just move on to the next one.
Yeah, no. Lafreniere's an okay punt, I would say. I think there's better options. He just doesn't have the peripheral upside to me. Like he seriously never really gets more than 2 shots on goal a game.
Yeah, I mean I think he'll come around. Like obviously he's played 20 games maybe this year.
Yeah, I think he has a point in 4 out of his last 5 or 3 of his last 4 or something like that. But the peripherals just aren't there, so you're relying on I would not play him naked really. If I have Zibby or something. But outside of that, I'm done with this game. But which title on wait, one more thing. Which title on the Rangers? Did they price him reasonably on FanDuel, or did they forget about him and then leave him at min?
Let's see. He's 37.
Viable. Very viable at 37.
Yeah, I still won't play him standalone, but if you're stacking even him.
If you need the value, I don't hate it. If you need the value, don't look for it, but it's like, God, I have 3,700 left. I really like the rest of my players. It's like, okay, I could sleep at night playing that, but don't build around him.
Yeah, there's a couple other guys I would rather play. Honestly, in his price range, and we'll get to it in a different game. But if we have nothing else on this one, let's go to the next one where we're both going to, again, be on the same side of it, and the whole world should be on the same side of it. Detroit and Carolina. Detroit has the lowest projection of 2 goals, and honestly, they probably won't even score that. And Carolina's implied total is 3.6. And even though they're implied so high and they're playing Detroit, I still don't think they're going to be that high owned outside of maybe Dougie Hamilton. What do you think about this?
On DraftKings, you're definitely going to get some ownership because Aho's probably too cheap. Svechnikov's probably too cheap. Tuvo's too cheap. Jordan Stahl's too cheap. Dougie is not necessarily too cheap, but I like paying $6,800 for him tonight. There's not a ton of guys to pay up for. And I mean, his floor is amazing. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna get it at some ownership. But I would want to play them. They do it's a NHL thing if you pay attention to it. But Carolina is always a threat to bust. But with no Dylan Larkin, come on, how do they not lay the wood on here?
Yeah, and I think sorry, my contact's messing up on me. I think Aho is a better price on DraftKings than FanDuel, only because he's 74 on FanDuel, and
I'll agree
for that,
with that.
He needs to score to even pay off, which he can. Don't get me wrong, he could get 2 or 3 goals. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But if you look at him, and then you got Teravainen coming back at 6K, Svechnikov is 6K. But then I'd rather almost go to their second line. Trocheck and Niederreiter way too cheap. And Nikas is with him, right? Yeah,
that seems to Trocheck and Nikas as the last time I saw it. I will say Spetch at 6K is too cheap. That guy's a shooter. He's always a threat for 2 goals against a bad team. Tuvo, Spetch over Tuvo every time if they're the same price. So you said they're the same price, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Spetch over Tuvo every single time.
And Tuvo's coming back from a concussion, so like it's not like Austin Matthews coming back from a wrist injury. Like concussions, you get one hit and like you could be out again.
Fetch and Dougie are an amazing mini stack on FanDuel. I don't even need to see the rest of the slate to know 5,200 Dougie and 6,000 Fetch is hella value for the upside and floor you're going to get from that.
Yeah. I have a mini stack of Trocheck and Hamilton right now.
He's a first power play. They're all good plays. The whole top nine is good. I don't like Nino on DK. I think he's super pricey, but I'm on Aho's in my cash core. If you have the money for Fetch, I like it. If you have the money for Hamilton, if you want to pay up somewhere else, Jordan Staal at 4,400, I think, is way too low. He's playing like 18 minutes. He's on the first power play. He blocks shots. I mean, like the whole team is just a fantasy gold mine tonight to me.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. What about their goalie, Nedeljkovic? What do you feel about him?
Nedeljkovic?
Yeah, that.
I think that's how you say. Yeah, I love him. Is he still way too cheap on FanDuel?
He's 78 on FanDuel.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. He's 82 on DraftKings. You're definitely paying for what you're getting. And my one worry about it is like, yeah, Carolina, let's say they win 4-1, but Detroit has no offense whatsoever, and then so you're getting like 15 saves, 1 goal against, and a win, which isn't amazing. But he's definitely in my top 3 options tonight. But like him winning still has downside because like I would be worried about the amount of goals or shots that Detroit's going to get on net tonight. I mean, this is going to be the expected goals are going to be such in favor of Carolina tonight, I feel, and so's the Corsi. It's they should blow them out of the water.
Yeah, and I think with Detroit, Carolina plays like really good defense. So if they can keep it out of their zone and like keep it in between the blue lines and like in their offensive zone, Detroit's gonna. I'd be surprised if Detroit has more than 20 shots. So yeah, that's a risk you're taking if you do play him. For cash, like it's him or Varlamov for me. Like I'm leaning Varlamov only because I do think Buffalo is probably going to shoot a little bit more. But those are probably your 2 safest cash plays.
I don't know the saves that Nedeljkovic's going to get, but the W's locked into me and that matters a lot.
Well, this just in on the live stream. You know how we were talking about Philly before?
Mm-hmm.
Joel Farabee is in the COVID protocol.
Oh, jeez.
So that that makes one of my cash lineup decisions very simple. Don't play him because he's not going to play. But we'll keep an eye out to see if anyone else is out. And if it does, we'll get into that game later. But we'll just keep an eye out to see if anyone else is going to miss this game. It's definitely a big hit because he's been fantastic lately. But if you have nothing else on this game, actually, we're going to this game next. So Flyers and Penguins.
All right. I was going to say if anyone will ask some cash questions, but we're already flowing into this. So we're
flowing. Guys, throw your questions in there. We'll get back to it if it's on a different play that we already went over. Just keep throwing the comments in there because we want to answer questions at the end. So yeah, we just talked like Farabee. He's not playing. We'll keep an eye out for anyone else that's going to be in the COVID-related protocol because normally when there's one, there's going to be 2 or 3. So we'll start with the goalies in this game. And let's see. Tristan Jarry, he's been playing really good lately. So I initially had some Philly guys in cash, and then you brought up to me that Jarry's been great. And I looked into it a little bit more. And once he started the year really bad, but he's 5-1 his last 6 starts with a 2.13 goals against average. And Philly on the road, like Pittsburgh getting Crosby back, it's going to add offense to him. I think Jarry can get the win here, and he's only 7,600 on FanDuel, so I don't mind it if you're in a larger field tournament to kind of throw him in and fit higher price stacks. What do you think about him or Brian Elliott?
This game's definitely a tough one for me. Opponents that play each other this frequently, like Pittsburgh and Philly, I worry about those games for fantasy upside, and especially from the Pittsburgh side, from Jarry. Philly has deep lines. Like they have their fourth line's more so a third line, but I would say, well, with no Farabee, it's going to take a hit tonight. But I would say the other ones are all top six caliber lines, and like the Penguins just don't have that. So like I will say that for Jari, and Philly's not known to pour on the shot either. They're another team that kind of has more of a high danger upside, so that's definitely a downgrade to Jari for me tonight. But in big field GPPs, there's just four goalies that I think are honestly auto locked up tonight. It's just not a position I'm trying to get queued at.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're making 150 lineups and you want to throw them in a few, like no problem with that. But I had a little interest in Elliott at first when Crosby was out, and then I looked at who he played this year, and I realized why he was doing so good. He hasn't really played anybody that's good. He played Buffalo, I think, like 3 times, and if you play Buffalo 3 times, you should have good stats. For me, it's kind of a stay away for goalies. I'm not really interested in this game like that much. I think it's going to be scoring, especially like we've seen this year that teams that are playing each other so many times, like the first 2 games might be super high scoring, but then they figure out how to stop each other. So like the last couple games, or this year anyway, has been a lot lower scoring than the first 2 games.
There are 2 guys I do like a lot for cash tonight on the DraftKings side, and that would be John Moreno and Marcus Pettersson. With Olivier Joseph out of the lineup, Pettersson's kind of seeming to get most of his minutes, and he's playing over 20 again, and he's min-price, and John Marino is still on the second power play. He's playing over 22 minutes a game very consistently. In the last 3 games, he's been finding himself coming into a lot more peripherals. So I'm hoping that can continue, but both of them are great deep pay downs to me. Definitely favoritism to Marino because he's on the second power play. But Peterson being min price, if you need the 200, feel free to use him over Marino.
Yeah, and that kind of stinks for Jared McCann because now he's going to go back down. He kind of loses everything, any value he had. No.
And he's on center on DraftKings now, and it's just like I don't want to play him at center. I did like him on FanDuel. I think he's still a winner on FanDuel, right? And you got the 2 utilities anyway, so that matters a lot less over there. But he's definitely not going to be on the top 6 and top power play anymore. So that erases him for his viability to me.
Let's see here. Yeah, I wonder who's going to move up for Robbie on the first line. Maybe they bring Giroux back up, or maybe Voracek, but we'll have to see. I'm not really interested too much in Philly or Pittsburgh, honestly. There's other offenses on a big slate that you can attack.
I'm real big on those 2 value guys for sure, but that's like a cash thing. And honestly, punts for GPPs if you need some salary, but outside, like those are punt value punts. So like that's really all for me on this one.
Yeah, and that's definitely like DraftKings. On FanDuel, you don't have to play either one of them really, because on FanDuel, the goal is kind of worth a lot more than like peripherals. Obviously, are good, but if they only get like 2 blocks, like 3.2 points is not going to do anything for you. So there's just better options. Like you don't have to punt as much on FanDuel with how bad their pricing is.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll move on to the next game. Winnipeg and Montreal. Winnipeg implied 2.5. Montreal 3.1. We were actually just talking about this game a little bit before too. So just give everyone what you were telling me, your thoughts about this game.
Winnipeg has not been good on the defensive aspect of it, and Montreal's known to get a lot of chances out in front of the net. And so I'm not looking at Hellebuyck tonight. Especially with them on the road and being implied that low, it's not happening for me. Jake Allen, like I've said, all the goalies we like are in the later games. I'm sorry for saying this all the time, but there's just other goalies that I like more who I feel like are auto-locked dubs that I would rather get in there. But I will say Jake Allen has had a very good year this year. He's honestly been better than Carey Price. If Carey Price didn't have that contract, this team would be starting Jake Allen over him already. And I think he has some good save upside as well, being a home and a heavy favorite at only 7,700. He's my favorite GPP goalie that aren't my cash goalies that I like. Like he's my favorite, probably sub 5% goalie that will pop up on the slate.
Yeah, he's going to be super low on. I like both of these guys for tournaments. Like I think Montreal, they do play like pretty decent defense. I'm just looking at like DVP numbers and stuff, but like they're pretty good against the wings. Winnipeg don't they have like a very low implied goal total tonight again?
Yeah, I believe it's 2.5. Well, they're at 2.5. They opened at 2.7. They got bet down. That should really tell you something because we all know Winnipeg's better than a 2.7 team most of the time, and for them to be getting bet down like that's not a good sign to me.
Yeah, and I think this for me is more of a if you play the offenses, you're playing them in tournaments in a stack. Mainly because for cash, I don't mind if you want to play Kyle Connor. He's still shooting the puck a ton. Like he's got 24 shots over his last 5 games and 6 points. But he's really the only guy for cash on that side. And then on the Montreal side, I don't like targeting Hellebuck all that much because like most of the time he's good. It's just when I play him.
He won the Vezina last year, right? He won the Vezina last year. Yeah, I mean, he's excellent. His advanced numbers are good. I mean, he's an excellent goaltender. Not on a 10-game slate, not really one that I'm looking to target against.
Yeah, it's kind of like not really looking to play him, not really trying to target against him. But in tournaments, I mean, everything really in hockey, anything goes in tournaments. But I do like both of these guys in tournaments. They're probably 2 of my favorite, only because I think that both of them are going to see probably 30-plus shots against them. So the save upside's there for both guys. Just the offense, it's going to be hard to peg who scores. Like, it could be a low-scoring game, and their offense, they could be like a third or fourth line that's going to score. There's definitely other options in the next 4 games that we like a lot more than this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get guys in from the top 4 favorite teams tonight, and their implied goals are just so much more than like the middle tier. It's just like it's an auto move to me to try to get them as many guys from those teams as possible, and we'll get into those teams as we continue.
All right, so we'll get to our next game: Tampa Bay Lightning, Chicago Blackhawks. Tampa Bay implied 3.6, Chicago 2.5. And this one, honestly, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to score that much. Call me crazy, but I'm taking a stand. Kevin Lankinen has been amazing this year. And Tampa Bay, I just feel like they're not really scoring that much lately. Now, they could come out and score 6 or 7 goals. That wouldn't surprise me either. But I'm almost kind of at a stay away on this one, too. What are your thoughts on it?
Goalie-wise, Andre Vasilevsky's the best goalie in the league by like a wide margin right now.
Mm-hmm.
So him against a team like the Blackhawks is always a viable play in my books. I wish he was at home. On the road's not great, but I mean that I could still live with it with the best goalie in the world. And in terms of really skaters, I'm gonna have to second that. There's obviously no one from Chicago that you're looking to want to play against Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't care that they're at home. Lankinen would be like a 5% exposure play to me in GPPs just because maybe he has 44 saves or something. But for the skater side for Tampa, the only one I'm really looking at tonight is Killorn. He's still playing over 17, 18 minutes a game. His line mates are Stamkos and Chiarelli. Those are 2 great line mates to have. I mean, that line should dominate 5v5. Whoever the Chicago line that they come out against should be, in my opinion. And Killorn's also on the power play 1, and at 3,600, that's the lowest he's been all year. So to get top 6 power play 1 minutes from Tampa Bay at 3,600 is a pretty decent move to me. I'm assuming they're all a lot more pricey on FanDuel.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even look that much into this game just because I didn't like anything that I was seeing. But Killorn is 4,700. That's too much for me on FanDuel, anyways.
The upside's there for him. I just will say that line's good. What's Chiarelli?
Yeah, Chiarelli, he's cheap. Not really. He's 5,700.
I mean, Killorn would be the option there. I assume Stamkos is still way too expensive.
Stamkos is 84. Like, I'm not touching him at 84.
Nah. But definitely on DraftKings, I'll be taking a hard look at Alex Killorn, and I'm about 100. He's going to be in my cash lineup. I believe he's in my cash core right now. And
well, for that cheap, like, he doesn't have to do that much on DraftKings. Like, FanDuel, 4,700. There are other players at 4,700 that I like more. If for stacking purposes with this game, it's hard because like if you look at the Tampa Bay lines, like their second line has 6 goals, which is pretty good. The last 5 games, their top line only has 4, and they're not really shooting that much. Between the top 2 lines in the last 5 games, they only have 45 shots. Like I don't know. To me, that's not enough. Like if you want to stack a line, I'd just probably stack their power play, like their top power play, which is Killorn, Point, Palat, Stamkos, and Hedman. And the reason I say that is because Chicago's penalty kill is the worst in the league in the last 10 games. They have a 61% penalty kill. And, like, we know Tampa Bay can score. Like, they're just too pricey for me in most aspects. And then on the Chicago side, you can take a chance and stack their top line. Like, their top line's good. Like, Kane, DeBrincat, and Suter, like, they've been playing really good hockey. It's just I'm not targeting the best goalie in the world. And I did mention in my sheet that Vasilevsky, I have him in tournaments mainly just because of his price, and I'd rather get the safety. And I mean, I still think he's going to get the win, but like Chicago's still a decent offense. Like they could still score a couple behind him. But I'm not looking to stack against him. If you want to play him cash, I'm not going to talk you off of it. There's one value guy really for Chicago that I don't hate, and he's only 3,300 is Carl Soderberg. If you have 3,300 left, like in my initial cash build, like that's what I had. I've made changes since then, but like I have no problem plugging him in. He needs like 3 shots maybe to like hit value, and it's not going to kill you if he doesn't do that much. He just gets top power play line, plays in the top 6. There's definitely worse options at 3,300 than Soderberg.
With that logic, I can agree with that.
I mean, can he score 0? Yeah, but if you look
Can
at
a bunch of other people in that price range, yeah. So
yeah, like his last 4 games, he's got 8, 9.6, 15.2, 34, 14. He's still the last 4 or 5 games he's playing over 14, 15 minutes. Got up to 18 against Columbus. So if they get more power play chances, he's gonna see more minutes because he plays on that top power play. And then especially playing with Kane and DeBrincat on the top power play, he's gonna have more chances to get an assist if they're able to score a power play goal.
well, that covers this game for me.
Yeah, we'll move on. The next game on the slate is the.
Does anyone have any questions before we get into this about anything, like how to make a cash line? How do you pick your GPP lines? How do you pick your goalies? How do you pick value? Anything like that you would like us to go over? Because I would like to educate you guys more about the process of things rather than you guys just being like, oh, I heard him say that name today, so I'm gonna play that.
Yeah, for sure. Keep those questions in the comments section. If you're not able to catch this live, tag both of us in the NHL Talk channel in Slack, and we'll be able to answer it for you. We'll be able to help you out. A lot of people stray away from cash in hockey, but I don't. I primarily play cash in hockey, and I think a lot of people just overthink it and try to like, oh, I need to play this guy. I need to play this guy. You don't have to play everybody. Like, and head-to-heads in hockey are like, they're elite for making money because you're going to get those people who just play their tournament lineups in a head-to-head. And if they're one team they stacked with high-priced guys, doesn't do anything, and then the chances of you winning are good. Like cash, I like mini stacks in cash with two guys, but I've played lineups with all one-offs. Like you don't have to stack in cash at all. You want to look for those floor guys in cash.
I will second that. And like head to head, it's just an elite move, especially on DraftKings where you could block good players. Please block me. Please block Big Cam 3000. You have no clue how like there's at least 3 of you a night that like play me, and our lineups are like one off, and it's like I don't know. I don't use the Army logo for my picture because I want more people to pick up my head to heads. I think people, if you don't have a content site picture, are more willing to pick it up over time. So like that's that. But if you're listening to this and you pick up head-to-head cash games, like I would absolutely block me.
Yeah, we don't want to play against you.
And
right,
post your own contests. Don't pick up people's. Post your own. Block people. Post your own. Set a 1 limit to it on DraftKings and let those things fly.
Yeah, and the thing with FanDuel is like you have to either make a dummy lineup, and I say dummy lineup, don't just throw in like all min price guys. Make something that could be viable if you end up not being able to change anything because you don't want to be stuck with 0. But for FanDuel, I highly, highly, highly recommend making one at a time, let it fill, then create a new one, because you don't want one guy to pick up all 20 of your head-to-heads, because then you're playing the same guy 20 times, and you're basically better off throwing in a double up or 50-50, because you want to get variance in your head-to-heads. You don't want to play the same guy multiple times.
And it's also not like donkeys don't do that. Like fish don't go by 20 persons all their head-to-head. That's a sharp grab in your line. So that's even more so a reason to wait, because you want to play against as many fish as you can. Like that's how it is. Like regardless if I feel like we're sharp and this podcast is helpful, but like you still don't want to play against other people who are good. I don't care if you're good or not.
I definitely agree with that. So we have 4 games left. So there are a few questions in the comments, so I'll throw them up on the screen and we can discuss those quickly. Let's see. Shawa says, do you tend to stack top teams in your cash lineups or just the best plays?
Yeah, like we said a few minutes ago, like it's more just value to me. Like if I could find a mini stack where they both happen to be value, like Kyle Connor and Blake Wheeler were for a few slates on the top power play with Dubois, like I'll get it, but like I'm never, ever, ever forcing it. Like I'm gonna get value, and if it just so happens to be that like, hey, there's like 2-3 guys that you could correlate that are value, then maybe I'll do it, but I'm never like, okay, let me go stack them in cash. That's more of a FanDuel thing, I would say, stacking cash, because it's bigger on points. DraftKings, you could feel free to do like a 2-2 stack maybe, or even just 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1, like with no correlation if it came down to it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that like you're on, because I don't really play DraftKings that much. So when people ask DraftKings questions, I'm like, I do the best I can, because I do play a little bit, but I'm primarily over on FanDuel, so I'm definitely more educated in FanDuel building. But I do find myself having mini stacks a lot in cash. Like, just get 2 guys from a high implied team who have good floors, playing well, especially if they're on the top 6. Usually I'll try to pair like a defense if I need to. Defense, you don't really have to stack that much, because if they're getting shots and blocks, like blocks are huge, and like obviously the defensemen are going to get more of the blocks. But like say like you want to do like Austin Matthews and a Mitch Marner, like I have no problem doing that in cash. It kind of depends on how like the rest of your lineup is, if you can afford them. I mean, if Austin Matthews is on a slate, just play him, and if you can put someone else correlated with him, then do it. If not, like you should feel confident just playing Matthews in cash. But that's just an example for it. All right, so that was pretty good for a cash discussion. If you guys have any more questions, keep putting them in the comments or tag us in chat, and we can help you out building your cash lineups. But we'll get on to the next game here. The Florida Panthers and the Nashville Predators. Florida's implied 3 goals. Nashville implied 2.6. We'll start off with the goalies here. Any interest in the goalies from either side?
So Bobrovsky is not good. Do not play him. Is it Pekka Rinne tonight?
I think he's still projected. I don't know if it's confirmed or not yet. Let me check.
Yeah, sources day to day. It's gonna be both of these goalies suck. Don't play these goalies ever in anything. I don't care if they're playing Detroit. Do not play these goalies. They are bad.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, move on. Don't even think about the goalies. I do like some skaters in this. Like, if you want, so we'll talk about stacks first. So if you guys looked over at my cheat sheet for FanDuel, I do have Florida 2 as one of my top stacks. I just like how they're playing a lot better. I have obviously no problem playing Florida. Like Florida 1 and Florida 2, those are like the first 2 guys, like 2 stacks that I wrote down. I just give a slight lean to their second line because I think Hornquist is a stud. And him and Huberdeau are just nasty. So I do.
Stud. Hornquist is not a good hockey player. I want that on the record. All he does is sit in front of the goal, which is great for fantasy. But if you put that man on a line and ask him to, hey, can you create offense? He cannot do it. I just had to get that hate in there. I'm sorry. He played for the Penguins. I was so happy when we got rid of that contract.
The one thing I don't like about that second line, well, the pricing for one in cash is like I don't think I'm getting there in cash just because they're a little priced up.
Huberdeau's
But
only 52 on DK. I don't. He's the type of guy that's gonna be. I'm not gonna build around him. But if I have a spot left and it's like a $5,000 winger, he would be one of my top options there.
yeah, he's 73 on FanDuel. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no,
Not,
definitely viable on DraftKings to me, 100%.
but I mean, if you look at their top line, like one of my favorite values is on their top line in Frank Petrano on FanDuel. I don't know his DraftKings price, but on FanDuel,
He's still value.
He's 4,000 on FanDuel. 18 shots his last 5 games with 3 goals. He gets second power play time, which their second power play doesn't usually play that much, depending. But he plays with Barkov, who's an assist machine. And Verhaeghe's been really good, too, and he's still pretty cheap. But one of my value guys is definitely going to be Frank Vetrano tonight.
Yeah, I'm ready for him to get priced up. I love him. He's been one of my favorite value punts all year, but I'm getting real tired of his inflated ownership because people are lazy and like, oh, look at all the good people they played him and he's so cheap, so let me play him. There's plenty of options tonight. I don't mind him if it fits play him, but like he should not be 30% of. There's plenty of good value wingers on the slate. Like that's too much for me. It's just annoying to me that I might get buried if I don't have him.
Yeah, and I mean on FanDuel, he's in my initial build just because he is so cheap and he's playing Nashville, and Nashville's kind of really bad. But anything else on the Florida side?
No, that's gonna do it for me. Ekblad's too much, Handles too much, and like that power play is the unit that's gonna be out there. And I don't hate Hornquist on DraftKings, but like I don't really, from like how I've built my lineups, if you use my cash score, I'm not really sure where you're getting $6,200 for a winger. You're paying for what you're like. There's no value to Hornquist at that price. Like he could produce, but like you're paying for it. It's not like, well, maybe he has some value to it. Like no, 62 is where he should be.
Yeah, and he needs a goal. He needs a goal on FanDuel. He needs a goal to hit value, and I mean it's possible, definitely possible, but like he's not a priority.
You do have the revenge narrative for Hornquist as well here, so like there is that. Like if you guys love that stuff, notice how I'm doing this. Because it doesn't really matter. Unless it's Vincent Trocheck against the Florida Panthers. That dude, he's from Pittsburgh. He knows how to hold a grudge, I promise you.
Anything interest you on the Nashville side?
Matthias Ekholm, he's worth over $5,000 to me with no Ryan Ellis because he basically becomes Ryan Ellis at that point. So, like, I don't mind him at 4. That's going to be a little weird for your builds, and I'm not really sure, like, if you're going to get 4,000 out of a defenseman tonight with the way I would like to build it. And then Eli Tolvanen, however you say that man's name. I'm so sorry, buddy. He's still on power play 1. He's still on line 1. He's playing 60 minutes. He's 3,100. He is well worth a look at that price.
I like stacking him in Forsberg as a nice little mini stack. So you could stack Forsberg, Tolvanen, and Ekholm in tournaments. I like that little 3-man stack for sure. I mean, Yossi, I don't think just because of the value we have with Ekholm, I'm not like making Yossi a priority, but I don't mind playing Yossi if you have the money for it.
Play Dougie Hamilton instead on DraftKings.
I mean, even on play Dougie Hamilton on FanDuel too. Like he's $1,500 cheaper than him.
Also, definitely Dante Fabro's getting a boost. I just figured Ekholm would get on the power play too as well, but he is not. They both play good minutes. They both take good shots, but Fabro's 300 cheaper and does get the power play 2 time. So that is a little bit of a bump to him over Ekholm, but they are both absolutely fine plays in cash tonight to me if your build lets you do it.
I definitely got no issues there. But other than that, on that game, no goalies. Florida, so you could stack up their top 6, stack up their power play line. Nashville, kind of go for value. Tolvanen's good value. Ekholm's good value on FanDuel. I like Forsberg's floor with his shots, but he's pricey. But in tournaments, you can go ahead and stack them up. I don't mind that at all.
I want to touch on what I mean by what your build allows, because I don't know, I don't see anyone ask questions about that, but I can't imagine 100% of people exactly know what I'm talking about. So what that means is, say you're playing Matthews, Marner, Aho, and expensive goalie, and maybe Svechnikov. That's who you like in Kaloran. Well, you're not going to really have 3,700 and 4,000 on the D-man, maybe, because when you play those guys, you're kind of committing to playing down at D-man. So I mean by that is, if you like them, it's going to be hard to get Ekholm and maybe Fabro in there, because you're going to want to play the $2,500 guys. So that's what I mean on like build reliant. And when I say like core guys, these are the guys I mean that like, hey, this is the build I like. And a lot of the guys I end up recommending are from like my cash core builds, because I have those 5 in there, and then I normally build around them with 4 guys. And odds are going to be we're going to end up around the same build, because we have the same amount of salary left for 4 of our lines. So it's probably going to be kind of similar.
Yeah, that's why don't pick us up in head-to-heads, because we could end up tying, honestly, and that's no fun for either one.
J-Lid, if you're watching this, I know you do it, and there's some guy with a purple Army helmet that does it. I see you in the chat, J-Lid. I see you there all the time, and me and the text you about this. So shout out to you, bud.
Yeah, I mean, we have
them up though.
We do have really like our NHL talk channel this year has been so great. Like, so many people are interacting, asking questions, trying to learn. There's been a lot of people this year who've come over like, oh, this is my first NHL slate. Like, how should I attack it? How should I go about my build? And I think that's great. Like that's kind of how I got started with NHL. I was doing baseball for DFS Army, and then I was like, you know what? I have the winter off. I kind of want to do something else. We didn't have a lot of hockey writers, so I was like, let me try it out. So I did a little trial period. Started liking it, and then hockey is like my second favorite sport. So I love it. I got something to do in the summer, got something to do in the winter, and it's so fun to watch. It's so fun to play. So keep learning. Like, anyone can learn how to play it. You got to be able to take the information and be able to apply it to your daily builds.
Out of the 4 major sports, I feel like this one has, percentage-wise, the biggest amount of donkeys in it, because people think their real-world hockey knowledge applies to this, and I can assure you that it does not. Like football and baseball, like, yeah, luckily those things are kind of correlated, but if I'm being real with you, you don't gotta know much about hockey to be good at this. And people think they can come in here and like, oh, I know he's gonna score tonight, and then he doesn't do it, and he was overpriced, and now you look like a dumbass who lost all his money. So
yeah, I mean, for hockey, it's like shots and blocks are your 4. So look at that. In cash, look at shots and blocks, look at price. It's pretty simple. We got a few more games tonight, so we'll get going. Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars. Columbus projected 2.3, Dallas 2.7. Goalie interest in this game, Cam.
Am I allowed to just say Kudobin and then move on from this game as in its entirety? Because if that is it, it's Kudobin or nobody else from this game to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's no one in this game that interests me. If you want to stack Columbus 1, it's risky, but other than that, like, I'm not going to.
You're going to get sub 1%, I bet, on any Columbus stack that you get. But, like, that's because they suck. It's leverage, but it's because they're not good plays. That needs to be reiterated.
So, Kudobin and move on. We don't even need to talk about this game, really. We'll just get to the next. The last 2 games are probably 2 of my favorites besides, like, playing Carolina. And the next one is Ottawa Senators and the Calgary Flames. Ottawa projected 2.6, Calgary 3.5. And the Vegas odd makers continue to keep Ottawa pretty low, and I think that keeps people off of them. We got David Riddick is starting again. Markstrom's not quite back yet. He should be back soon, but he's not playing in this one. And I think Ottawa Murray is still projected in net for them. But I love both sides of this game. If you look at the last 10 games for Ottawa, they're 4th in the league in scoring. It's going to regress, but one of my favorite plays, if I can afford him, is Brady Tkachuk. I don't know. I just play him basically every time he's on the slate. I don't know if just because I like him, but he shoots a ton. He just hasn't scored recently. But if he's shooting 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, he's had up to 8 shots in a game. Like he's gonna end up scoring. So he's kind of my main guy here. But any interest in the goalies before we get deeper into the skaters?
No, I feel like Ottawa is undervalued in their goals, and then I also don't want to play Matt Murray. So
Yeah, and people probably still are, but I wouldn't. Like this game, like I love seeing the Tkachuk brothers go against each other. It's great. I mean, they both play so physical. Both these teams play very physical. But the interesting thing is, like the last 10 games, they're not taking a lot of penalties. Really, they're timing their hits perfectly, where they're not getting any interference calls or boarding or cross-checking, and they're both playing pretty good hockey. I'm seeing here Josh Levo is on the first line for Calgary. Are you seeing that?
yeah, I'll pass. I like Dylan Dubé a lot more on the second line.
I mean, I like Mangiapane up there. Like, I don't know. They're shuffling up. I mean, they're trying to get a spark. They're not scoring lately, so try to shuffle things around. But since we're
Levo on the top line is not the answer to shuffling around. I will say that.
No, but since we're talking about Calgary right now, any interest for tournaments for Calgary?
I really think the stack of Tkachuk, Dubé, and Lindholm's interesting for Calgary too, because they're all wingers on DraftKings for some reason. So I think that's really neat. I think that can make your builds a lot more interesting when you could literally just fill out all your winger spots and go, center, utility, D stacks with everybody else. I mean, it's Ottawa. I think they're better than everyone gives them credit for, but they're still a threat to like lose games by some goals a lot of nights. As like I think anyone with common sense, though, Calgary has more talent than Ottawa does. So that second line's real big to me. I like Tkachuk tonight. I like Lindholm. I like that second line as a whole. Gaudreau's a little bit too cheap for me on DraftKings as well. Don't mind him either.
Yeah, I agree. I like their second line. I like if you want to play their second line and then throw in like a Mark Giordano, I don't mind that either. His floor has been pretty good recently. It's just not scoring. But with a guy that's got 27 blocks and shots in the last 5 games, it's a good floor. He's not like too overpriced. So if you want to do it in a tournament stack, I'm not really going anywhere on Calgary in cash, but I do like them for tournaments.
I could get over if you want to punt Dylan Dubé against the Senators, Dubé, whatever, and cash at 2,800. But outside of that, yeah, I'm probably good on cash.
And then on the Ottawa side, honestly, they've made me some money recently, so I'm probably going to go back to them. I like their top power play line of Tkachuk, Batherson, Stetzel, and Shabbat. The most you could throw in Dadonov if you want to, but he hasn't really been doing that much. Like I said before, like Tkachuk is just like a shot on goal stud. He's got 108 shots on goal. It's got to be at least top 5. I don't think anyone else is shooting that much. So he's got a good floor every night. The matchup is good. Riddick's not good. He's been struggling against Ottawa the last 3 games. So if you played one guy in cash, I do really like Tkachuk if I have the money for it. I don't mind Stetzel in cash. He's still 4,300. Drake Batherson's 5,000 now, so he kind of lost all of his value. He's got like a 7-game point streak, and it's not sustainable. Like his shooting percentage has got to be way too high. It's easy to fade him at 5K now when he was like 4,300. Then it makes me want to think a little bit more about it. But at 5K, only really if you're stacking their top.
Yeah, top power player bust for me. Mike Riley's missing tonight, so Brandstrom could maybe be an okay punt. But outside of that, I'm good. And that Artem Zub guy, they're both okay punts tonight. Definitely like the Penguins punts more, but they're viable.
Awesome. Anything else on this game? Or you want to get to the last one here?
Yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, so probably fantasy goldmine. Toronto Maple Leafs, Vancouver Canucks, total 6.5, 3.6 for Toronto, 3 for Vancouver. And we will start like we have been with any goalie interest in this game.
There's this, like I said, I like Khudobin, I like Nedeljkovic, and I like Vasilevsky more. So, and I'm obviously not playing Demko against Toronto. So it's Hutchinson tonight, right?
I don't know if it's confirmed. Last I saw it was Anderson. It's still projected. We don't know.
They're thinking he's going back to back. That's what they're thinking.
I'm on left wing lock, and he is projected. But I don't know. We kind of have to wait to see.
Definitely a bigger bump to me if it's Anderson in GPPs. Oh, they're expecting Jack Campbell. I don't know. We'll see. If it's not,
still.
Yeah, if it's not Anderson, my interest definitely falls down a lot. I like Anderson for GPPs. I feel like those other four guys I named, they're all playing worse teams.
Mm-hmm.
At least Vancouver can score. They just also give up a lot of goals. So that would be more GPPs for me. No Demko, Anderson in GPPs, and I'm assuming Anderson's really expensive on FanDuel as well.
On FanDuel, he's 84. So at that point, just play Varlamov for 200 more, or find your way to get Vasilevsky or play
Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, I'm never gonna pronounce his name right. So
Nedeljkovic. I think it's pretty easy. I'll cut you slack on some. I'll cut you some slack on some names, but this is one we could all get down.
I'm just gonna call him Needle. Leave it at that. But I'm guessing you have interest in Toronto 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Cash lock Austin Matthews tonight. If you don't play him tonight, feel free to actually buy all my head-to-heads that you feel free to buy. You can buy them all if you don't play Austin Matthews tonight. That's fine with me. And also, I don't think Mitch Marner's getting the respect he deserves as an actual stud in fantasy. Pastrnak and Ovechkin have not. Ovechkin has not outperformed him this year, and he's about on Pasternak's level, I would say, but he gets more blocks too and gets PK time. There's no reason for him to be 7,900. He should be an $8,500 player, maybe even 88. And for a slate with no studs, he's an auto lock to me. I don't know what people are getting about Mitchell Marner being an amazing hockey player and fantasy player.
I mean, I don't know what his ownership has been on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's been pretty highly owned the last few games they've played. So him and Matthews, on FanDuel takes up a bunch of your salary, but we have plenty of other value where we can get. I think Mitch Marner should be more than Stamkos. Less.
Yeah, Mitch should definitely be more than Stammer for sure. The problem with him on DraftKings is everyone likes the centers, including myself, and it's tough to pay up a wing some nights. But there's one stud center tonight. There's not an bunch of amazing wing plays. Yeah, sure, maybe he busted 38% that he is, but I can assure you, no one has the Florida upside that Mitch Marner has at the winger position tonight.
Definitely agree. Looking back, let's continue on Toronto. I kind of like Zach Hyman in tournaments. If you want to go Hyman and Mikachev there on the third line, I don't hate it because they're cheap. Hyman's been good. I mean, he's got a goal in 3 straight, points in 4 straight, 10 shots in his last 3 games. You could do worse. I do think they're going to score a bunch tonight, so it's definitely possible that he gets involved. And he's on the second power play unit as well. I think Willie Nylander he's too pricey. He doesn't really have a floor. He has been scoring, which is great, but I would only put him if I'm stacking their second power play or their second line.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't mind Tavares and GPPs for stacks, as I like his upside and floor a lot more while he's on power play 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Tavares he's just slow now. He's getting old, and I mean
they shouldn't have gave him that contract. I'm gonna stand by that opinion. I would have run Kadri for $6 million was a lot better than Tavares for 11.
100%. Anything on the Vancouver side?
Peterson, you could argue that he's too cheap, but there's other good teams here on this site that you could get exposure to. It's just it's a hard pass for me.
I'm gonna say
really anyone from Vanny. The lines are stale. You gotta know what you're getting out of them. And it's just I'm good. Hamonic is okay again at 26. His minutes are trending down. Hopefully he could hit over 20 soon, as he should have to block a shit ton of shots tonight against Toronto, but like Hamonic's really the only one that I'm really feeling here.
The only thing I want to say is if Anderson doesn't start, I do kind of like Vancouver. Now it depends on what site you look at. DFO has them as 1, Left Wing Lock has them as 2, but the Miller, Pettersson, and Besser line, I have some interest in tournaments for them if Anderson doesn't start. And if you want to throw another guy, I mean, I wouldn't even throw another guy. I would play those 3 in a tournament and then throw it up with another stack. Maybe you could throw like 5 or 10% on them.
I could agree with that.
Other than that, not really. I wish Alex Edler would actually do something because last year in the playoffs, I played him every single game and he hit the block bonus on DraftKings like every night. He's starting to block a little bit more, but like he's not doing anything else. Like I don't know what his price is, but
yeah, I'm getting Quinn Hughes taking over that power play 1 full time. Definitely hurt a lot of Edler's upside.
Yeah. So that's all 10 games. What we're gonna do here is we'll go over the tiers really quick because we had a couple of questions about that. And I will share my screen with you guys so you can kind of see where we look at for tiers. I play a little bit of tiers. So what I would do, like mainly, I think for cash, you're going to look at the guys who have high shots, high block projections, and recency, like what they're doing lately. For tournaments, you want to stack up as much as you can. So if we'll look at tier 1, and with that, honestly, I don't like any options, to be honest with you. My lean would probably be Van Riemsdyk, only because he might get a few extra minutes with Farabee not playing. But Kanan DeBrincat, I'm not touching against Tampa Bay. Scheifele, I don't really like him that much anyway, so for me, it'd probably be Van Riemsdyk and move on. What about you for that tier?
That's a rough one. The 4 plays obviously Patrick Kane to me. I mean, like he's definitely better than all 3 of those guys, but I would probably take Scheifele here just because I'm noticing in like the other tiers that there's a lot of Winnipeg options to stack with him in GPPs, and you're not really looking to stack Chicago.
No, yeah, so I would say I agree with you there. Tier 2, kind of another tough tier. Like each of them have good consistency. I think my top guy in this tier would be Forsberg in cash. And then again, like we said, like you want to stack. So if you play Van Riemsdyk in tier 1, you're going to play Couturier in tier 2. So I would say probably it's Forsberg, Couturier, Toffoli, and Stamkos for me in that tier.
Definitely on the Stamkos side here, as like I don't like him like his raw price, but going up against Toffoli, Forsberg, and Couturier, I like him a lot more when you look at him through that lens. Definitely Couturier if you pick Riemsdyk. Toffoli would be my lowest, and slight edge to Stamkos over Forsberg for me.
Okay, all right, so I like that. Tier 3, we got Gensel, Barkov, Brady Tkachuk, Mitch Marner, John Tavares. By the way this pod has gone, I'm assuming you're going Mitchell Marner.
Marner.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it'll be Marner or Tkachuk, and it depends on what I'm doing in the Why isn't Austin Matthews in tiers?
Yeah, I was clicking through here. Yeah, he's not. Well, that is that's whack.
Yeah, I mean,
downgrade to Marner and GPPs because of that, but I mean, geez, Marner's better than everyone in that tier. I don't want to hear anything other than that be an opinion.
Yeah, for me, it's Marner. Marner 1 and Tkachuk. I'd play Tkachuk if I'm playing more than one lineup. I'd put Tkachuk there too, just because he's got a good floor. But Marner's definitely got the highest upside there. And everyone else, I mean, looking at the other tiers, like if you want to stack anyone, there's really not much to stack with. If you want to play Barkov, you can stack him on the power play with like Hornquist in a later tier. But yeah, it's Marner. Tier 4. Just honestly looking at the names, you're playing Dougie Hamilton or Roman Josi here.
Yeah, 100%. I don't. Yeah, 100%.
I'm not touching it. Like Jack Eichel's in tier 4 and Austin Matthews isn't even on this. Makes no sense to me. But play the two D-men, mix and match them. If you play two lines, play one in one, play with the other one in the other lineup. The other guys don't even really worry about not good matchups. Tier 5, we got Trocheck, Hedman, Matthew Tkachuk, Shabbat, Zibanejad, Fox, and Barzell. Where you looking in this tier?
I'm definitely Trocheck, Hedman, and Tkachuk are my top three. If you're playing Dougie, definitely like Trocheck. If you're playing Stamkos, definitely like Hedman. And I just like Tkachuk naked, and him playing naked is fine with me.
I agree. Yeah, I love Trocheck tonight, so I'll probably give my lean to him. But the top three guys there, Trocheck, Hedman, and Tkachuk, are definitely your option. If you are playing Brady Tkachuk in the other tier, I do like going Shabbat.
That's fine.
But only if you're stacking them. This next tier is interesting. Tier 6, got a lot of the Pitt-Philly game in this tier. For me, it's going to probably be Kyle Connor.
Yeah, him relief for me.
Yeah, I mean, Malkin going back down, Rust. Rust will probably end up being on the top line with Crosby. He has been most of the year, which I don't hate that. But for pure floor purposes, I'd probably say Connor. He's just shooting a ton. Rust has a good shots floor, but I think Elliott is going to have a pretty good game. That one might be low scoring.
I could agree with that.
All right, we'll go quick through the last two.
All right, tier 7.
Yep. Go ahead.
Aho.
I know that
Aho
was,
every time.
yeah.
Aho every time.
I would argue Hornquist, but yeah, Aho's your top option there.
If you have any Carolina players, Aho. If somehow you don't, I don't hate Braden Point here, and then Wheeler for the stack. But like outside, if you should be stacking Carolina, it should be Aho, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then if I like Aho and Cash, I also like Hornquist and Cash just for his floor. Other than that, if you just stack, like if you have someone else in a different tier with like Tampa Bay, if you're playing Stamkos, like play Point, like they get correlation on the power play, do that way. Last tier before we wrap it up and then get to finishing up our lineups. This one, what do you think about this one?
You know what I'm going to say. Go ahead and just say what I'm going to say.
You're going to say Svechnikov, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, Carolina. Stack up Carolina. They're going to score a ton. And if not, like if you're stacking Calgary, if you have Matthew Tkachuk, I don't mind going to Lindholm or Giordano. But yeah, Svechnikov and Cash.
Or Gaudreau top power play. Yeah, either fill out a mini stack with Tkachuk here or play a Svechnikov. Those are the two options to me.
Yep, I agree with that one. All right.
That dude ended the show too quick. What's up, y'all? That was a terrible outro, huh? Anyone got any questions before I get off of here in the chat? Big fans. Yeah, I know you do, Jalen.
I hit the wrong button.
Intimidated by NHL. Yeah, where'd you go, man? How dare you leave the podcast like that?
I hit leave studio by accident. I meant to stop sharing my screen. But all right, so we're gonna get going, finishing up our lineups. If you have any questions, hit us up in the chat. Give us a tag. If you're not a DFS Army member, throw in the code Mdell. Save yourself 10%. And with that one, let's win some money tonight. See you guys.
All right, boys. We're out.